Hi friends, the Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, didn't just take credit for the strike, they boasted about it. According to their spokesperson, Yahya Sari, this was no random launch. It was a carefully calculated, high-precision operation. The missile, dubbed Palestine 2, wasn't just a weapon, it was a message, written in rocket fuel and smoke, aimed not just at Israel but at the entire balance of power in the Middle East. In their words, the fight against Israel is not a local matter, it's a pan-Arab, pan-Muslim cause. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most urgent global updates, exclusive conflict insights, and accurate forecasts you won't find elsewhere. And yet, the question still looms, how did the Houthis, a rebel faction rooted in Yemen's mountains, acquire the capacity to strike Tel Aviv with advanced long-range hypersonic technology? All fingers point to Iran. While Tehran has remained silent, the technology, the timing, and the coordination suggest a helping hand. Hypersonic missiles are not developed in isolation, certainly not in war-torn Yemen. Experts suspect Iranian involvement in the form of technical support, components, and satellite guidance. And if Iran is indeed behind this, even indirectly, then the launch was not just a Houthi gesture, it was the opening salvo of something bigger. Meanwhile, Israel is unraveling, politically and militarily. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, already under intense domestic pressure due to ongoing conflict in Gaza and economic unrest, now faces what some are calling the worst national security crisis in decades. Following the missile incident, reports suggest that Netanyahu's health has sharply declined, prompting emergency meetings within the cabinet. Though not officially confirmed, sources close to the administration speak of a leader on the verge of collapse. Calls for his resignation are growing louder. Members of the Knesset, including from Netanyahu's own coalition, have begun distancing themselves. The Israeli public, stunned by what appears to be a multi-front offensive, north from Hezbollah, south from Gaza, and now missiles from Yemen, is losing faith. Some fear the nation's famed iron wall of defense may be cracking. And the biggest shock of all, the United States appears to be stepping back. For decades, Israel's security was synonymous with unwavering American support. But now, in the wake of this crisis, the tone from Washington has changed. The Biden administration has issued only cautious statements, emphasizing restraint and de-escalation. More tellingly, several planned shipments of military aid have reportedly been delayed. Inside Pentagon corridors, there is growing talk of strategic recalibration. In other words, America might be quietly stepping away from Israel's corner. Analysts speculate that Washington, overstretched by its commitments in Ukraine and the Indo-Pacific, is wary of being dragged into another Middle Eastern quagmire. And this, the quiet pause of support, has not gone unnoticed in Tehran, because while Israel reels, Iran is advancing. Though officially silent, Iran is watching closely, with its allies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Iraqi militias. Acting in apparent synchrony, Tehran's regional influence seems more unified than ever. Israeli intelligence is scrambling to reassess its southern flank, long considered low risk. The mere fact that a missile traveled 2,000 kilometers without detection has shaken the Mossad's confidence. Ben Gurion Airport, though reportedly undamaged, is no longer seen as untouchable. Foreign investors, airlines, and diplomats have taken note. The symbolism is undeniable. If Israel's most secure locations are within reach, what is safe anymore? What once looked like isolated flare-ups, Gaza unrest, sporadic Hezbollah skirmishes, occasional Houthi drone attacks, now appear tightly interwoven, as if pieces of a broader design are finally locking into place. This is no longer about local militias acting on their own accord. What we're witnessing may be the emergence of a coordinated resistance axis, with Tehran's fingerprints faint but undeniable. Inside diplomatic halls in Brussels, London, and Geneva, urgent closed-door meetings are underway. European governments, publicly calling for restraint, privately admit concern. If a Yemeni faction can launch a hypersonic strike on Israel, what's stopping similar technology from spreading to Syria, Iraq, or even Lebanon? Intelligence agencies across NATO are reassessing their threat models. The containment theory that conflicts in the Middle East could remain regional has cracked. And let's not forget the psychological shift. For decades, Israel represented invulnerability in the region, technologically, militarily, diplomatically. The Iron Dome, Mossad's surgical precision and unwavering US backing formed a triad of perceived immunity. But this missile, whether it landed or not, has pierced through more than airspace. It's pierced through confidence, narrative, and deterrence. It whispered something terrifying into the ears of Israel's enemies. You can reach them now. The war has changed. It's no longer waged with tanks rolling across borders or infantry advancing under flags. This is hybrid warfare. Part drone, part satellite, part Twitter feed, part psychological sabotage. The Houthis didn't just launch a missile. They launched an idea. That long-range high-tech warfare is no longer the exclusive domain of global superpowers. And that idea is spreading. As for Israel, it now stands at a crossroads, with Netanyahu's government teetering, military leadership under public scrutiny, and diplomatic support thinning. The next moves will define not just its future, but the stability of the region itself. Will it retaliate against Yemen? Will it dare provoke a larger clash with Iran? Or will it retreat inward, regroup, and re-strategize in a world that no longer guarantees Western intervention? The United States' silence speaks volumes. There have been no airstrikes, no aircraft carriers repositioned, no red lines drawn. Washington, perhaps for the first time in recent memory, seems willing to let Israel face its storm, alone. Whether this is strategy or hesitation remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The illusion of distance has shattered. From Sanaa to Tel Aviv, the board is set. The players are moving, and the rules, whatever they once were, no longer apply. The United Nations has issued its usual call for restraint on all sides. But behind closed doors, diplomats are alarmed. For the first time in years, Israel's strategic depth has been breached. Not by Hezbollah rockets or Hamas tunnels, but by a ballistic weapon launched from the far south, by a group many once dismissed as a tribal militia. It was not supposed to be like this. When the Iron Dome was introduced, it was hailed as the end of existential threats. When Israel signed normalization deals under the Abraham Accords, many thought the tides were turning. But now, all that confidence feels premature. As one former Mossad analyst put it, they hit the airport, even if they didn't destroy it. Symbolically, they landed in our living room. Meanwhile, Iran's silence is louder than any speech. No grand declaration, no press conference, just movement. Strategic, cold, precise. Drones in Syria, militia mobilization in Iraq, naval maneuvers in the Gulf, all timed perfectly after the Houthi missile launch. Tehran, it seems, is letting its allies speak with firepower while it watches the West squirm. The Islamic Republic doesn't need to invade, it only needs to orchestrate, and that's exactly what it's doing. Israel is no longer facing random rockets. It's facing a chessboard. Each move, from Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, serves a purpose. Pressure, disruption, fatigue. And Netanyahu, his political legacy now hangs by a thread. Rumors of resignation swirl. Trust within the cabinet is fractured. Military confidence is shaken. And with US backing no longer guaranteed, even Israel's staunchest hawks are beginning to ask, what if we're on our own now? In cafes from Tel Aviv to Haifa, the question has changed. It's no longer, how will we win? It's, what are we even fighting now? Because this isn't just a battle of missiles or ideologies, it's a test of resilience in a world that's moved past the old rules. Borders don't protect anymore, deterrence isn't assured, and alliances, they come with conditions. The Houthis' missile didn't just aim at an airport, it aimed at the global order. And now that it's been launched, no one can predict where the next one will fall, or how far the fallout will reach. The missile from Yemen wasn't just a strike against Israel, it was a proof of concept, a demonstration that long-range precision warfare can now be waged by non-state actors, and that alliances forged in Washington or Brussels offer no instant salvation. The Middle East has shifted, and the rest of the world is scrambling to keep up. In Riyadh, officials are suddenly very quiet. Saudi Arabia, long at odds with the Houthis, has refrained from any bold condemnation. Analysts suggest the kingdom is weighing its options, caught between its desire to curb Iranian influence and its cautious push toward regional stability. No one wants to light another match in this room full of gasoline. In Beijing, the response was colder, more calculated. China, investing billions in regional infrastructure, simply called for de-escalation. But make no mistake, they're watching closely. If you want to stay ahead of the curve with real-time updates, in-depth analysis, and expert insights on global flashpoints like this one, make sure to subscribe. This is just the beginning.